Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today. A huge thank you to Forge College for putting together the material for this one. Today, we are taking a massive leap under the hood of the Ethereum Virtual Machine for an overview of EVM opcodes. Our goal here is actually pretty simple, but it is incredibly powerful. We are literally disassembling the EVM engine. So grab your safety goggles, right? Because we're going to see exactly how things run at the absolute lowest, most unforgiving level.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you remember our previous lesson, we were kind of soaring at, 30,000 feet. We were looking at debugging and QA for AI-assisted workflows. It was high level, it was abstract, kind of breezy. But today we are dropping straight out of those conceptual clouds and hitting the bare metal. We're transitioning to low-level EVM opcodes. This is the raw machine language that actually makes Ethereum tick and, let's be honest, occasionally makes developers cry.
So here's our engineering blueprint for today. First, the EVM engine room. 2, meet the opcodes. 3, stack-based execution rules. 4, tracing bytecode in action. 5, why opcodes actually matter. And 6, our conclusion and next steps.
All right, Section 1, the EVM engine room, moving from memory to machine instructions. We've talked before about data, right? We've compared cheap, ephemeral memory to that highly expensive, persistent storage. But you might be wondering, how does that data actually move around? Well, enter EVM opcodes. These are the super low-level machine operations that shift data around, mutate it, and completely control the flow of execution inside the EVM. When you write a smart contract, the EVM doesn't care about your beautifully formatted, human-readable code. Nope, it reads opcodes. They are the literal gears turning inside the EVM, and they are the ruthless enforcers of those gas costs we're always trying to optimize.
Moving on to Section 2, meet the opcodes, or as I like to think of them, the factory departments.
Now, what's really interesting about this is, instead of just staring at a boring list of hex commands, try imagining these opcodes as highly specialized departments in a giant factory blueprint. Up at the top, we have the stack department. This includes things like push, dupe, swap. They basically just arrange the parts on the assembly line. They're super quick and barely cost any gas. Then you have arithmetic and logical, which compute values. But as you move down this blueprint, things start getting heavy. The memory department, using commands like mload and mstore, handles ephemeral storage, which costs a bit more. And then we hit the heavy machinery, storage, sload and store. This is your persistent vault. Writing data here is your absolute main gas hotspot. It literally costs an arm and a leg. Finally, control flow and environment handle things like branching and cross-account system effects. Seriously, just categorizing them like this is your very first step to actually understanding and optimizing your code.
Okay, Section 3, stack-based execution rules, also known as the pile of plates.
So the EVM uses something called stack-based execution. Now, if that sounds a little intimidating, honestly, just picture a chaotic diner with one of those giant spring-loaded piles of plates. If you need a plate, you pop it right off the top. If you wash a plate, you push it right back onto the top. It's a last-in, first-out system. Almost every single opcode operates by pulling plates off the top, doing some quick math, and then slapping the result back on top as a brand new plate. And keep in mind, these aren't your little side-salad plates. Every single one of these holds a massive 256-bit word. Let's move to Section 4 and actually see how this builds. Tracing bytecode in action on a live factory tour.
I absolutely love this part. It kind of feels like we're reading secret launch codes together. Let's track the exact state of the stack step by step. Step 1, we have push 1 0x0A and push 1 0x05. We just pushed 2 plates on our stack. Boom, boom. Now we have our 5 sitting right on top of our 10. Step 2, the add opcode arrives on the scene. Now add is hungry. It needs 2 inputs. So it pops those top 2 plates, adds them together, and since 5 plus 10 is 15, or 0x0f in hex, it pushes that single 15 plate right back on top. Step 3, we push a 0 offset, and then MSTORE activates. MSTORE pops the offset, pops our 15, and writes it directly into temporary memory, which leaves our stack completely empty. Finally, step 4, return halts the execution and hands that memory slice back. Boom. Congratulations, you just read raw machine code.
All right, Section 5, why opcodes actually matter, the bottom line. So the crucial point here is, why does any of this actually matter to us? Well, it's simple, because opcodes directly dictate your gas bill. We can pretty much boil EVM mastery down to 3 fundamental rules. First, categorize before you optimize. Are you seeing a massive gas spike? Figure out if it's a storage issue or just memory expansion. Target the disease, not the symptom. Second, think in stack transitions. You really want to visualize that spring-loaded pile of plates so your opcodes don't accidentally try to grab a plate that isn't there. That's a stack underflow, and it will crash your transaction. And third, separate ephemeral from persistent effects. Remember, MSTORE is just cheap, short-term memory. STORE, on the other hand, changes the blockchain forever, and it is absolutely going to charge you accordingly. Batch your work and save your wallet.
And finally, Section 6, Conclusion and Next Steps, Finalizing the Blueprint.
Next up in our journey through the EVM, we're going to take everything we just categorized today and start attaching some very strict operational rules to it. In opcode mechanics and execution constraints, we'll convert these categories into exact gas formulas. We'll look at absolute stack depth limits, and we'll see exactly what happens when you completely run out of gas. It's going to be fantastic. I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. If every single opcode, every tiny mechanical gear turning inside the EVM costs gas, how much is your inefficient code truly costing you right now? It's a question definitely worth calculating. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer today. A huge thanks again to Forge College for making this breakdown possible. Be sure to head over to forge.college to dive deeper into this subject and explore a ton of other incredible Web3 topics. Until next time, keep learning, keep optimizing, and I'll see you in the next Explainer.